Let's chat now to Miyelani Mkhabela, Chief Economist at Antswisa Transaction Advisory. Miyelani, thank you for being with us. Firstly, do you expect the same, something neutral, talking about previous plans? There's always the hope of implementation, of when will we hear an update on where we actually are around previous plans, but maybe nothing that could move the markets tomorrow.
So when you look at markets, the markets will be guided much by part of the announcement that the president will make. But at the current moment, I don't think markets can come out to be having a situation around the outcome of the State of the Nation's address at this current moment. And then I think that can be fitted to be in line with the budget speech, other than the State of the Nation's address. The expectation much on the State of the Nation's address is much on, economic activities or economic development, industrialization, or we can call it special economic zones, agriculture and innovation, and science and innovation. I think those aspects are the ones that I feel, if the budget will be concentrated on economic development now, it will really assist in boosting the economy to create jobs, which is the critical problem or the crisis of South Africa at the current moment, because we have unemployment that is above youth unemployment that is above 65%, which it is a crisis that if we don't really attend to economic development and we focus much on priorities that are aligned to economic development, then the country will be having a crisis as well in the future.
Well, what are you hoping to hear? Because as it's often been pointed out, our economy was suffering before COVID-19. Then we had a pandemic, load shedding affecting productivity, affecting businesses that could create jobs. Then we had the July unrest affecting confidence. We've seen fires since then, and many linking what's going on in terms of crime with the economy and confidence in the economy, and the recovery seemingly affected by all of this. What do you want to hear?
So you look at different times that will probably have as well different situation. But when you look on what has been happening from 2012 up until 2017, it has been different challenges that the country has been experiencing. And when you look at 2020 and 2021, there were different things because implementation was not happening precisely because of part of COVID-19 activities, I will say, on 2020 and 2021. But now that COVID-19 has been fading away, we expect implementation in several issues around those aspects. And I think this State of the Nation's address will give, that confidence again to the market.
Does the president have a lot of explaining to do? Because there was a COVID-19 recovery plan announced to much fanfare in 2020, and we had already heard the statements around infrastructure before that, but infrastructure was a big part of that. We then heard from the CDE yesterday, research suggesting that there has not been one infrastructure project initiated by government since 2018, which is incredible when this is our hope for job creation and creating livelihoods and uplifting the economy. Does he have a lot of explaining to do?
Yeah, in times of uncertainty, you can't really go for a mega project as well. So you look at coming up with mega projects, when risk is minimal. So you can't come up with priorities that cannot be met precisely. That will be just a statement that wouldn't really be implemented. But when you look at 2022, it is a right time that the government can start implementing such of activities like your special economic zones and some of the infrastructure activities that were not really attended to at the past. And I feel 2022 and 2023, it will be a great moment for the president to highlight that. But at the same time, the commitment around it is mainly on the budget speech, because the State of the Nation's address can have priorities. But if those priorities are not committed to based on fiscal or budget allocation, you are not able to weigh the impact of budget to the activities. But the budget speech will give us that guideline as to what is the focus in terms of the commitments that needs to be attended to.
And we'll
around economic development.
We'll see also if he mentions the word basic income grant or gives us some direction around that. But like you say, the details will be in the finance minister's budget speech later in the year. Is there any good news? I mean, something else we've been talking about for years is the spatial divides that were implemented during apartheid still continuing. We don't have rich and poor living together. And the president has been talking a lot about the new cities.
I think when it comes to South African inequality, which emanates from apartheid, I don't think the government easily has something to do with it. It's both hands, private sector and government has to work together. And much of the resources in South Africa, they are muscled by a private sector. So if change has to happen, private sector needs to get into the room as well and attend to transformation. From small aspects, it can be from bursaries, it can be, sharing the resources itself. So it's not really going to be only a public sector that needs to be, assessed for a transformation, because the economy of South Africa is more concentrated on private sector. And when you look at JSE listed companies, you look at them still, probably you can indicate that around 92% of those companies are in the hands of white people. So if transformation has to happen, such people who are owning those resources or owning listed companies needs to change their minds as well. And then we will build the vision of a rainbow nation. A rainbow nation will not really happen by speaking about it, but it will need some aggressive implementation, and at the same time sharing the resources that are there, because when we are sharing, then you will start to see the marginalized or the poor to be having something. Looking at cities or introducing more cities, it will need a budget. It is not something that can be done overnight. You need to look at building cities which they have their own methodologies. So you will need to concentrate industrial zones. You make sure that there is tourism activities and agriculture alongside those cities in the development of that, or semi-cities. So it is not really something that you can just do like overnight, but the process has been going. Some of the you expect Nelspruit and Polokwane to be really a full city. And I think if that will have happened, it was supposed to be as well opening up, because those are big provinces and they don't have a city. So it becomes a problem to have the whole province, not to have like, a metro municipality. I think those are the things that such provinces needs to concentrate and balance.
All right, thank you for explaining some of the issues. Miyelani Mkhabela, Chief Economist at Antswisa Transaction Advisory.